Hi, I'm Sandy from Sandy Over 70. Welcome to my channel. Today I want to let you in some of the personal choices I make when cruising. I've been cruising all my life since I was 22 years old. I've been on 54 cruises, and I've changed the things I do as the years have gone on. And what I'm going to tell you today is what I do at age 77. So that doesn't mean that you should do that, but it might give you some ideas, because what I do now is really very different from how I started out. I'm going to start out by telling you the things I do, or almost always do, on every cruise, and then I'll follow up with the things that I almost never do. So let's begin. The first thing I do is always take a cruise of 7 days or more. Now, I didn't always used to do that, and when I was young, I did 3 and 4 day cruises in inside cabins, no problem. But now I'm in my 70s, and it's just too much hustle bustle to fly somewhere, to get on the ship, and then 3 days later to have to pack everything up, leave the ship, and get on an airplane. No, it's just not worth it. And if you've never cruised before, you are not going to get the real taste of what cruising is like, because these 3 and 4 day cruises are known as party cruises. There's a lot of drinking, there's a lot of partying, and in our 70s, that's usually not what we're looking for. So the longer the better, at least for your first cruise, a 7 day cruise. Now, the next thing I always do is I fly in the day before. I can't remember ever not doing that, except when I lived in Miami and I could drive to the port. But that's not the case anymore. So I always fly in the day before. There is so much congestion at the airports today that there's always a possibility of getting delayed to the point where you miss your ship. You never want to miss your ship, because that is a bad situation. So I always fly in the day before. As I said, when I was young in my 20s, I got an inside cabin. It just didn't matter. We were cruising for the weekend with my friends, and we weren't in the cabin. Now it's a totally different story. The cabin is a part of the cruise. It's a part of the vacation for me. It's the restful part. I wouldn't dream of getting an inside cabin today. And I almost always get a balcony cabin. There's one exception, which I'll tell you about in a minute. Balcony cabins are just so wonderful. And as they say, once you have a balcony cabin, it's almost impossible to go back. This is the place where you can watch the sail away, where you can have breakfast, where you can read a book. It's so beautiful to be sailing along and sitting on your balcony. I said there was one exception, and that is on transatlantic cruises. Personally, I don't see any need for a balcony cabin, because the view is the same every single day. For 7 days, you see water. And if it's a matter of saving money, I have no problem with a ocean view room. Now, I have a cruise booked in October for New England and Canada on Queen Mary. Queen Mary is pricey. And because I know from previous New England cruises in October that it's very chilly, very cold out there, and you do not want to spend time on your balcony, I knew I didn't need a balcony. So I chose an ocean view cabin on Queen Mary, because I knew I would never use the balcony cabin. The next thing I do when boarding is I always do the muster station drill as soon as possible. We used to have to all go out on the deck and sign in. Pretty much now it's done by watching a video on your TV or your phone, and then you go to your designated muster station and check in, and they scan your card or whatever ID they're requiring and know that you've checked in. much easier. Get it out of the way, go to lunch, and usually by the time I come back from lunch, my bags are in the cabin. When those bags arrive, I unpack as soon as possible. We get it all done and then put those bags under the bed. I've never had a problem fitting my bags under the bed, but if you do, you might want to open up the bag and slide it under that way. It will slide under easier if it's very big. And also, you can then use it to store things in, pull it out, and get those things out. I don't store things under the bed. I don't store things in my bags. I put everything out because inevitably the one or two things that I've stored away, I'm going to want them at some point during that cruise. So I just get everything out, put them in the drawers. I use all the available space. This is a side note about hangers. For many, many years, I would get to the cabin and there'd be like 3 or 4 hangers. You know, come on. There were never enough hangers. I would ask for hangers and almost never did I get them. So I started packing hangers. But now I can tell you that in my experience, they have loaded those closets with a lot of hangers, and I'm very pleased with that. I used to schedule excursions in every Caribbean stop that we went to. Now, I take a look at the excursions, and if there's something I've never done before and I'd really like to do, I will probably sign up for it. But I have no qualms about just staying on the ship. I love staying on the ship. In fact, I did an entire video about what it's like to stay on the ship and why it's often a good idea. And I'll put that link below in the description. Staying on the ship where there's no lines, no people, and everything is available without crowds is a real treat. Try it sometime. I have exercised all my life in gyms. I like gym equipment. So until recently, the first thing I did on that first day was check out the gym so I knew how to use the equipment and I could go there and not feel uncomfortable or awkward. Well, I'm sorry to say the last few times I have not checked out the gym, and sometimes I don't even use the gym anymore. Yeah, but I always walk. Oh yes, I walk. And I love the ships that have a promenade deck. Not many do. I can tell you Cunard does, but not many do. I'm trying to think. Oasis, I believe, has a completely wraparound walking deck. If they don't have a walk-around promenade deck, they will have a running track on the top deck of the ship. And it's usually surrounded by lounge chairs, and it's usually looking down onto the pool. It's hot up there. There's no shade. The next thing I'm going to tell you may seem really weird, but I do it and I'm going to tell you the secret. Personally, I like to have the covers on my bed, my sheets, and my quilt up to my neck because I get cold. I like it right up here. But the way they make the beds, the sheets kind of come to your shoulder level. So every day after they make the bed, I go to the foot of the bed just before I'm going to get in it, and I pull out all the bedding. I pull it out just at the foot so that it's now loose. And when I get in the bed, I pull it up to my neck, and I just love that. And finally, this is something I have done without fail, and that is I dress up every night for dinner. Yes, I do. I don't wear a long gown every night, but I will wear sparkly tops, beautiful skirts. They may be T-length, they're usually T-length. And now I wear my dance skirts, which are almost always T-length or maybe ankle length. Every night I will wear something like that. And the reason is, besides going to dinner, I will be doing dancing for hours at night. And if it's a ship with ballroom dancing, I will be doing ballroom dancing. And I always wear a skirt or dress for ballroom dancing. Ships almost always have some kind of formal night. It's not called formal night. On most cruise lines, it'll be called dress to impress or dress your best or some such euphemism, but it's their casual version of formal night. Yes, I know, it's an oxymoron. But on the formal nights, again, I would just wear my very best tops, my very best skirts, the flowiest skirts, and look my very best. I love dressing up, and my husband has no problem wearing a tuxedo. A lot of men don't like tuxedos, but he has no problem with that. He will put it on. And on my upcoming cruise on Queen Mary 2, it will be a 2-week cruise, and there will be 4 formal nights. And I'm already planning. I am already planning all of my evening wear. It's because I have so much of it, and it's so much fun to get to use it. So what about things I never do or rarely do? Many of the things on this list are things that I used to do, but I just don't do them anymore. So let me start. The first thing I don't do and have almost never done is go to the sail away party. Now, this is a party around the pool when the ship takes off, and there's always loud music and a huge crowd out there dancing around, people on speakers yelling about things. That has never appealed to me. Young people love this, and for many people, the sail away party is the highlight of the cruise. Well, for one thing, it involves a lot of drinking. Yes, so that makes it happy for a lot of people. I don't do that. I don't want crowds and noise. So I go on my balcony, and I always watch the ship sail away from the privacy of my balcony. I take photos. I enjoy it in the peace and quiet of my own cabin. That's just me. I've been watching a lot of videos where people comment on the fact that using the laundry services on a cruise ship is the greatest thing ever. They love it. They load up bags of clothing and send it off to the laundry, and they are thrilled to get the clean clothes back so they don't have to wash their clothes when they get home. I have never done that. No, not once have I used laundry service on any of my 54 cruises. I'm very particular about my laundry, and I will say that almost all of my clothing is hung out to dry in my laundry room. The only thing that goes in the dryer are sheets and towels. And the reason I do this is that I have lost so many pieces of clothing to shrinkage, and I'm just not willing to do that anymore. Everything seems to shrink, especially if it's cotton. You just never know what is going to shrink. And the other stuff, the polyester stuff, of which I certainly own some, does dry nicely, but if you don't catch it when the dryer goes off, then you've got some permanent wrinkles oftentimes. So I wouldn't consider sending it to a commercial laundry and risk having it come back in a shrunken state. That's just me. And other people may think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and so do it if that works for you. It doesn't work for me. Also, people will write in and say that they have their formal wear pressed by the ship staff. I have never done that. I've never had a need for any of my clothing to be pressed. I don't know why. Maybe because I hang it up right away. But all the skirts I wear are skirts that don't wrinkle. I have some cotton skirts, but they have so many pleats and folds, and they're so full that if there were wrinkles, you would never see them. And the same with my tops and the gowns that I'm planning to take on Queen Mary. I know they won't wrinkle. I have one that would wrinkle. I'm not taking it because it's far too full. So I don't do that. I don't use the hair salon. Well, there was an exception in the past. But I have also been reading about how many of the women, they do a blowout of their hair on formal nights. I've never done that. First of all, my hair is so short I can handle it very easily and I can blow it out myself. I have never done that, except twice, way in the past. I have gotten a haircut in the ship salon, and the reason I did was at that time I did not have a good hair cutter, or one I was happy with, and I was looking for the perfect haircut. I may have even taken a photo along, but I knew that on most ships this is a service that is contracted, and it's usually contracted with British hair stylists or stylists from other countries, so you get a kind of a different angle to your haircut. And both times I got excellent haircuts, but when I came back home looking for someone to keep it looking that way, it never happened. And so thankfully now I have a hairstylist whom I love and whom I'm happy with, and so there is absolutely no need for me to get my hair cut on the ship. I don't get massages on cruise ships anymore. Not to say I didn't in the past, because I did. I used to get massages occasionally here at home too. But in the past year, I bought a super duper massage chair that is so wonderful. I use it every single day for my back pain and my leg pain, and it has given me so much relief that there is absolutely no need for massage on the cruise ship. However, I don't have my massage chair with me on the cruise ship, so if I were to develop some serious pain on the ship, I would consider scheduling a massage. I certainly would, to get rid of the pain if it were to occur. It did not occur on my April cruise, so I'm grateful for that. I don't get manicures or pedicures on the ship. I used to, but no more. They're so expensive. And you know, people say, well, it's my vacation, I'm going to treat myself, and that is great, but if you cruise as much as I do, you probably would be better off getting your pedicure and manicure at your local salon. It will be a fraction of what they charge on the ship. But it's up to you. That's a personal decision. I have no desire to have a pedicure done on that ship. I will have it done the week before I embark on the cruise, and I basically take care of my own nails, and I keep clear polish on it. The next one is one you're probably going to disagree with me violently, and that is, I never eat in the specialty restaurants. Nope, never. I have tried it twice. And the reason is, it just is not something I've ever done. In the beginning of cruising, that is, in the beginning of my cruise life over 50 years ago, there were no specialty dining rooms. Everyone ate in the main dining room. And the food was delicious. It was oftentimes prepared at the table side. It was wonderful. That's pretty much gone, and the main dining room serves kind of ordinary fare, but I've never understood going on a cruise and then spending all that extra money to eat elsewhere, which may or may not be delicious. The 2 times I ate in a specialty restaurant. I couldn't say it was memorable. One of them I don't even remember at all. And the Italian one was okay. I don't see the point of spending all that extra money for something you can get included in your fare in an elegant dining room. But that's just me. And I think most people would disagree with that. But that's something I never do. Along the same lines, I never buy a drinks package. It would be a waste of money for my husband and myself, because the amount of drinking we do, we would never make up the price of the package. We each have maybe an occasional drink during the cruise, and mostly we drink bottled water. It's much, much cheaper for us to pay as we go. But this is not the norm. Most people drink when they go on a cruise, and most people will find that the drink package is beneficial. I'm just telling you what I don't do. It has no value to me. Now, that's not to say I haven't had drink packages a number of times, and they have been included in the fare price for that particular cruise. It was some special amenity that was given to us. And I do like the idea of looking at the menu at those expensive drinks, which are $12, $14 each, and ordering one and knowing I don't have to pay extra for it. I do like that. I almost never eat breakfast or lunch in the main dining room. I know it's lovely. I've heard great things about it. But for me, I don't eat that much. I'd rather grab something from the buffet, just something like maybe just oatmeal or something. And to spend all the time you need to spend for a meal in the main dining room, to me, is a waste of time. If I'm going on an excursion that day, I will have room service, and that takes care of breakfast. For lunch, it's the same thing. I don't want to waste 2 hours in the dining room for lunch. I want to be on my way. So for me, getting lunch in the buffet and keeping it to a small lunch, a small amount of food, is quicker and easier. But that's just me. I no longer buy professional photos. The photographers are everywhere. And I have a collection of professional photos from the past 50 years. And of course, I always used to have a photo taken when we were dressed up on the formal night. Who doesn't? And I noticed that as we got older, the photos weren't as attractive. They didn't look as good. And I wasn't happy with them, and I stopped buying them. And I thought, you know what, let's just freeze frame the good-looking photos and remember how we looked in those photos. And also, they're very expensive, and we're cruising now. It used to be once a year, but now we're cruising about 3 times a year. I don't need those photos, and I would have no place to display them, so that's all out. I don't buy souvenirs anymore. I used to. And in fact, I used to bring things home for people and spent a lot of time looking for the perfect souvenir to bring home. And when I realized that the souvenirs are only pertinent to the person who's taken the trip, the person receiving the souvenir has no attachment to that souvenir and probably will toss it out. So then I just went cold turkey and no more souvenirs. Now, I will occasionally get a piece of jewelry as I'm traveling. I do like it. It's easy to travel with. You can pack it in your bag and it doesn't take up any room. I always buy, you're gonna laugh, a refrigerator magnet from a country that I go to. And I have a large collection of them and it's great memories. But as far as the Caribbean, no, I don't buy refrigerator magnets from the Caribbean anymore because I'm well stocked with them. I like them. I bought whiteboards, and I have one in the garage and one in the laundry room, and the magnets are on there, and they're a beautiful memory of places we've been to, along with all the photos and videos, of course. I never go to bed early on a cruise. Oftentimes we're the only ones up, and we may be in our room reading late at night, but that's just because we're night owls. We stay up late. We also sleep late in the morning, and sometimes we miss breakfast, so that's a problem, because I sure don't like to miss a meal on a cruise ship. But we continue to be night owls. Some ships have dancing up till midnight or 1, and we'll be there. Other ships shut down at 9:30, such as the American Cruise Line riverboats. They're all done at 9:30. Everybody goes to bed. It's an older crowd. But that has not changed for us. And finally, we never do the self-debarkation, where you can leave the ship first thing in the morning by rolling your suitcases off by yourself. No, thank you. I'm not going to go through that. I let them take my luggage the night before, and I pick it up in the terminal. It's always nicely tagged by color so that you can find it. I never have had a problem with that. And sometimes I'll even use a porter to get those bags to the taxi cab. I mean, we're older. We should not be having to push heavy things. It's not in our best interest at all. So that's my list of things I always do and never do on a cruise ship. Feel free, I encourage you, to add to that list in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. And if you've enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please consider subscribing to my channel, and please give me a thumbs up. Have a great day. Bye.